Let me be brutally honest with you right now, because nobody else in your life has the guts to say what I'm about to say. You are losing, not maybe losing, not kind of losing. You are actively, mathematically, probably losing the financial game every single day that you wake up, go to work, and keep doing what you're doing. You have credit card debt sitting at 22% interest, and you're out here asking people on Reddit which meme stock to buy. You have no emergency fund, none, and you're watching YouTube videos about cryptocurrency like that's going to be your ticket out. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking on your future, your retirement, your freedom, and your family security. I don't care about your feelings. I care about your future. And your future is in serious danger right now if you don't stop, listen, and follow an exact, proven, step-by-step sequence for how to deploy your money. That sequence is what this video is about. If the first 60 seconds of this video made you even slightly uncomfortable, that means you needed to hear it, and you need to subscribe right now. Hit that button, because what I'm about to give you in the next 25 minutes is a financial framework that wealth managers charge thousands of dollars an hour to explain. I'm handing it to you for free. The only price you pay is clicking subscribe and actually doing the work. That's the deal. Take it. Here is the single most important concept in personal finance that nobody teaches you in school and that most financial gurus gloss over because it doesn't make for exciting content. The order in which you invest your money matters more than almost anything else. It matters more than which stocks you pick. It matters more than whether you choose index funds or ETFs. It matters more than your investment platform. It matters more than whether you're a bull or a bear on the market right now. The sequence, the specific, deliberate, mathematical order in which you move your dollars is the difference between building generational wealth and spinning your wheels for decades, wondering why you never seem to get ahead. Most people treat their finances like a buffet. They walk in, grab whatever looks good, pile their plate high with whatever's exciting or trendy, and then wonder why they feel sick afterward. They hear about a hot stock and throw money at it. They open a brokerage account before they paid off their credit cards. They invest in a Roth IRA but haven't touched their employer match. They do everything in the completely wrong order and then blame the market when their financial life doesn't improve. I've built businesses from nothing. I've sat across the table from hundreds of entrepreneurs on Shark Tank and evaluated their financial thinking in real time. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that the people who build real, lasting wealth are not the ones who found the best investment. They are the ones who built the right foundation first, followed the right sequence, and had the discipline to execute it without cutting corners. Here's a brutal analogy that I want you to sit with. Imagine you're building a skyscraper. Before you put up a single floor, before you hang a single window, before you install a single elevator, you pour the foundation. You make sure that foundation is deep, solid, and structurally sound. Because if you skip that step, it doesn't matter how beautiful the building is, it will collapse. That is exactly what most people are doing with their money. They're hanging curtains before they've poured concrete. They're decorating the penthouse while the basement is flooded. And the tragic part is they don't even know it because nobody ever sat them down and said, here is the order. Follow it exactly. Do not deviate. That ends today. I'm going to give you the exact sequence right now. And more importantly, I'm going to give you the mathematical reality behind each step. So you understand not just what to do, but why. Skipping any single step is costing you real, quantifiable money. The first two steps in the sequence are non-negotiable, and they have to happen before you invest a single dollar anywhere else. Step one is building your emergency fund. And I know that sounds like something your grandmother would say. It sounds boring, it sounds obvious, but the data tells a devastating story about how badly Americans are failing at this basic requirement. 1 in 3 Americans has zero emergency fund, zero. And the median emergency savings balance in this country is $500. $500. That is not an emergency fund. That is a parking ticket and a bad day at the dentist. That number is actually down from $600 just a year. ago, which means we're moving in the wrong direction while simultaneously talking about investing in AI stocks and Bitcoin. The reason an emergency fund is not just nice to have, but is actually a prerequisite for investing is simple, and it's psychological. When you don't have an emergency cushion and life hits you, and life will hit you, a car repair, a medical bill, a job loss, a broken furnace, you will be forced to make a terrible financial decision. You will either sell your investments at the worst possible time, probably during a market dip when panic is high, or you will put the expense on a credit card and add to the buried debt that's destroying your financial progress. Research from Vanguard found that people with at least $2,000 in emergency savings had financial well-being scores that were 21% higher than those with nothing saved. $2,000 changed the entire psychological trajectory. That's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, but the impact it has on your decision-making, your stress levels, and your ability to stay the course when markets get volatile is enormous. Here's how you build it without feeling overwhelmed. First, get to $1,000 as fast as humanly possible. Sell something, cut something, work an extra shift, get to $1,000, then push to 1 month of living expenses, then build to 3 months. If you have a stable salary job, 3 months is probably fine. If you're a freelancer, a contractor, or you work in a volatile industry, you need closer to 6 months. Do not invest a single dollar in the stock market until this is done. Full stop. Once the emergency fund is in place, and only then, you move to step 2, which is eliminating all high-interest debt. And when I say high interest, I mean anything above roughly 8% annually, though in today's environment, the real villain is credit card debt, sitting at an average of 22%. Let me give you the math that should make your stomach drop. If you have $5,000 in credit card debt at 22% interest, and you're making minimum payments, you will pay nearly $2,800 in interest over 5 years. That is money you earned, money you worked for, money that should be compounding in your favor, instead hemorrhaging out of your account every single month to a bank that is absolutely delighted you're not paying attention. Here is the critical reframe I need you to make. Paying off a debt that charges you 22% interest is not the same as a payment. It is an investment with a guaranteed 22% return. Show me a stock, show me a fund, show me any investment vehicle that guarantees you 22% annually. You cannot, it does not exist. Warren Buffett's long-term average is around 20%, and he's the greatest investor in human history. Paying off your credit card debt is literally a better guaranteed return than what most people could realistically expect from even the best investors alive. The method I want you to use is the debt avalanche. List every debt you have, every single one, with its interest rate and its minimum payment. Pay the minimums on all of them. Then take every extra dollar you can generate, every bonus, every side hustle dollar, every skipped dinner out, and fire it directly at the debt with the highest interest rate. When that one is dead, move to the next highest. Mathematically, this saves you the maximum amount of money. Some people like the debt snowball, paying off smallest balances first for the psychological win. And I get it. Momentum matters. But I'm a numbers guy. The avalanche wins on math. Do both steps in the right order. Emergency fund first, then debt elimination. Non-negotiable. Now here's where the sequence gets a plot twist. And it's a plot twist that most people miss. Even people who consider themselves financially savvy. Before you finish eliminating your debt completely, there is one investing action you need to take simultaneously, and it is the single most important investing decision you will make. Capturing your employer's full matching contribution to your retirement plan. I want you to stop and absorb what I'm about to tell you, because this is worth thousands of dollars and most people are too financially illiterate to take advantage of it. When your employer offers to match your retirement contributions, even at 50 cents on the dollar, that is a 100% return or a 50% guaranteed return before your investment earns a single penny, before the market does anything, before any fund manager makes any decision. the moment you contribute and your employer matches, you have already made a return that no investment on earth can touch on a guaranteed basis. Here's the real math with real numbers. If you earn $50,000 a year and your employer matches 50% of your contributions up to 6% of your salary, you need to put in $3,000 annually to get the full $1,500 match. That $1,500 is free money. It exists only if you take it. If you do not contribute enough to capture that match, you are not being cautious, you are being foolish. You are voluntarily declining free money. I have never in my life seen a successful business person turn down a guaranteed 50 or 100% return. And I'm not going to let you do it either. Now, here's the important nuance. I am not telling you to max out your 401 kilobits before paying off debt. I'm telling you to contribute exactly enough to capture the full employer match, not a dollar more, and then redirect every remaining dollar to obliterating your high interest debt. That is the sequence. Capture the free money, kill the debt, and then we'll come back to retirement contributions later in the sequence. One more thing to be aware of with employer matching: vesting schedules. Some companies require you to stay for 2, 3, or even 5 years before the matching funds are truly yours. Make sure you understand your company's vesting schedule before you make any career decisions, but in most cases, even with vesting requirements, the guaranteed return makes it absolutely worth contributing. The people who don't take their full employer match are leaving anywhere from hundreds to thousands of dollars on the table every single year, and they don't even know it. Know it, fix it now. Once your emergency fund is built, your high interest debt is dead, and you're capturing your full employer match. You enter what I call the tax optimization zone. And this is where serious wealth builders separate themselves from people who are just dabbling. The next step in the sequence is maximizing your individual retirement account. And here's why. The IRA comes before you put additional money into your 401 kilobits beyond the match. Your IRA is your account. You control it completely. You can invest in any low-cost index fund, any ETF, anything that trades on a public market with fees that can be as low as 3 or 4 basis points annually. Your employer's 401 kilobits plan, on the other hand, is a curated menu that your HR department chose, and that menu is very often full of actively managed mutual funds charging 1 to 2% in annual fees. That might sound small. It is not small. On a $400,000 portfolio, the difference between a 0.05% expense ratio and a 1.5% expense ratio is over $5,000 per year in fees. Fees that do not go to you, fees that do not compound in your favor, fees that quietly evaporate your wealth every single year. For 2025, you can contribute up to $7,000 to an IRA if you're under 50 and $8,000 if you're 50 or older. If you're married, that's potentially $14,000 to $16,000 of tax advantage investing with full investment flexibility. Max it. Now, within the IRA decision, you face the traditional versus Roth question, and I'll give you the clearest framework I know. If you're young and in a low tax bracket right now, go Roth. You pay taxes today at a low rate, and every dollar that grows inside that account for the next 30 or 40 years comes out completely tax-free in retirement, not tax-deferred. Tax-free if you're in your peak earning years and in a high tax bracket, lean traditional. Get the deduction now, reduce your taxable income today, and deal with taxes in retirement when your income will likely be lower. If you genuinely don't know which situation applies to you, split the difference. Contribute to both. Tax diversification is never a bad strategy because it gives you flexibility in retirement to manage your tax bracket strategically. Once you've addressed the IRA, I need to talk to you about the most underutilized, most criminally overlooked investment vehicle in the entire American financial system, the health savings account. If you have access to a high deductible health plan and you are not maxing out your HSA, you are making a mistake that I would argue is just as bad as not capturing your employer match. Here's why the HSA is extraordinary. It is the only account in existence that gives you a tax advantage at every single stage. Your contributions are tax deductible, which reduces your taxable income right now. The money grows completely tax-free inside the account, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses, doctor visits, prescriptions, dental, vision, and hundreds of other eligible expenses come out completely tax-free. Tax-free in, tax-free growth, tax-free out. No other account does all three. For 2025, the contribution limit is $4,300 for individual coverage and $8,550 for family coverage. Here's the advanced strategy that most people completely miss. If you can afford to pay your current medical expenses out of pocket, do it. Let your HSA money sit invested in the market. Keep every single receipt for every qualified medical expense. There is no time limit on HSA reimbursements. You could pay a $200 doctor visit today out of your own pocket. Keep the receipt and reimburse yourself from your HSA 10, 15, or 20 years from now, tax-free. In the meantime, that money has been compounding in the market after age 65. The HSA functions exactly like a traditional IRA for non-medical withdrawals. You pay ordinary income tax, but no penalty. For medical expenses, it remains completely tax-free. And given that the average couple retiring today will spend over $300,000 on healthcare throughout retirement, having a dedicated tax-free pool of money for those costs is one of the most powerful financial moves you can make. If you max out your HSA for 30 years and achieve a 7% annual return, you're looking at over $400,000 in tax-free money, specifically for healthcare. That is not a rounding error. That is a retirement game changer. Now we return to the 401 kilobits to max it out completely. And then we have one final step that most people start with and should actually finish with after capturing your employer match, maxing your IRA, maxing your HSA. The next move is to go back to your 401 kilobits and contribute beyond the matchup to the annual limit. For 2025, that limit is $23,500 if you're under 50, and $31,000 if you're 50 or older with catch-up contributions. Yes, the fund options might not be as clean as your IRA. Yes, the fees might be slightly higher, but the tax-deferred or tax-free compounding on that volume of money over decades is still overwhelmingly powerful. And the contribution limits are significantly higher than an IRA, which means you can shelter a massive amount of income, but from current taxation every single year between your IRA, your HSA, and your 401 kilobits. If you're under 50, you can potentially shield over $35,000 annually from current taxes. That is real money compounding without the government taking their cut every year. And that advantage builds exponentially over time. Think about what that actually means over a 30-year career. The tax drag on a taxable account can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars compared to a tax-advantaged account with the identical investment strategy and identical return. The IRS is not your partner in wealth building. Every dollar you legally keep out of their hands and inside a tax-advantaged structure is a dollar that compounds entirely for you. Use every tool the law gives you before you step outside those tools. Once you have worked through every tax advantage option available to you, and I want to be clear, most Americans never get here, then and only then do you open the door to taxable brokerage accounts. This is the step most people want to start with. This is where people get excited about picking individual stocks, trading options, speculating on cryptocurrency, and buying into whatever narrative is hot on financial Twitter this week. And I understand the appeal. It's exciting. There are no contribution limits. You can invest in anything. But here's the reality that the excitement hides. Every dividend in a taxable account is a taxable event. Every time you sell an investment for a gain, you owe capital gains tax. The tax drag in a taxable account is a constant, relentless friction on your returns that compounds against you over time. just like high-interest debt does. If you invest $10,000 annually for 30 years in a tax-advantaged account, earning 7%, you end up with roughly $944,000, and the same investment in a taxable account, same $10,000, same 7% gross return, but with taxes on dividends and capital gains along the way, leaves you with closer to $700,000. That is nearly $250,000 difference from tax drag alone with identical investment behavior. That said, taxable accounts are not the enemy. Once you've maximized your tax advantage options, they become your freedom fund. They are the account that funds your early retirement. If you want to stop working before you can touch your retirement, accounts without penalty. They are the account that funds a real estate down payment, a business investment, or any major financial goal with a medium-term time horizon. And there is a significant estate planning advantage. Taxable accounts receive a step-up in basis at death, which means if you leave appreciated investments to your heirs, the capital gains that accumulated during your lifetime can be completely eliminated for tax purposes. Used correctly in the right sequence at the right time, taxable accounts are a powerful tool. Used out of order before you built your emergency fund, paid off your debt, captured your match, and maxed your tax-advantaged accounts. They are a shiny distraction that makes you feel like you're building wealth while you're quietly leaking money to taxes, interest, and fees. So here's where I land, and here's what I need from you right now. The sequence is not complicated. It is emergency fund, high-interest debt, elimination, employer match, IRA, HSA, max your 401 kilobits, then taxable accounts. 7 steps. 7 steps that most Americans either don't know, won't follow, or will start and then abandon the moment something shiny distracts them. The average American saves about 6% of their income, 6%. That's not a wealth-building strategy. That is a participation ribbon. If you follow this sequence with discipline and intensity, you will be in the top 5% of financial performers in this country. And you will look back in 15, 20, 30 years and understand exactly why your financial life looks completely different from the people around you who kept doing it the wrong way. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to be deliberate. Write down where you are right now in this sequence. Be brutally honest with yourself. If you have credit card debt and a brokerage account, you already know what to do. If you're missing your employer match, you already know what to do. Stop overthinking it. Stop waiting for the perfect moment and start executing the sequence one step at a time. Drop in the comments exactly which step you're on right now. I read these. I want to know where you are and where you're going. And if this video helped you see your financial situation more clearly, share it with one person in your life who's doing it in the wrong order, because that one conversation, that one share could literally save them tens of thousands of dollars. That's not an exaggeration. That's the math. Now go do the work.